Right, hello, welcome back to another episode. I don't know what episode this is. We've kind of lost count of the Bodybuilding and Beanies podcast. And because we haven't had a guest for a while, and also I wanted to get Ethan on for a while as well, we've got Ethan Harris, who is now joining us today. So,
Hello everyone, how are we all?
but yeah, so sort of what wanted to pick Ethan's brains because I feel like me and Sam have been coaching bodybuilding for a while, but I think Ethan's just been around for just a very hot minute, like a long time. I can remember even when I first started getting into bodybuilding, I remember seeing, not even when we first started, but I remember seeing Ethan was on was it ITV?
Yeah. You're on
Yeah,
ITV?
Guru.
Yeah,
He's on
talking about
ITV,
gear.
Guru, yeah.
You're on ITV?
Yeah,
Wait, sorry, wait. So I thought you were gonna talk about like Josh Bridgman and like being, do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's how I remember you.
Mhm.
But
Oh, mate, I saw it
ITV?
on like TikTok first.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, one
So,
second. Wait, I need to search this up. One
oh yeah,
second.
you probably might not find it now. I got
Wait,
really
I could
killed
no,
for
I'm
it.
about to find it. I'm about to find it, I'm sure,
It
mate.
was Reese Fit was in it as well.
Was that when so there was a reel, wasn't it? And it was like
When
I
was
saw
that?
TikTok, and it was a video, and it was like
2021, 22.
yeah, it was like the people using like anabolics, etc.
Yeah.
And it was just like a reel of people with their faces blurred out. But if you're in bodybuilding, you know everyone.
Yeah,
And
literally.
like, they used Reese, who was obviously
Oh, were
assisted.
you blurred out, were you?
I
No,
wasn't.
no, no, they
I
used
was the main talker
they
though.
used Dan Inman, and he was
Yeah.
natty at the time.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
god.
So I was the one they did the interview of that was talking about it all. And they just completely classic like news. They just changed it to make it sound like I'd said really bad stuff. But they reached out to me and basically like I've been given. So the interviewer, I know his brother, and he was like basically been told you're smart, you know your shit about anabolics. Do you want to do it? It's like fuck yeah, like why not? If I'm on TV, like I'm on TV, I'll be on TikTok and shit. And they just asked me loads of questions, and it was like, what's the pros of anabolics? Like, why would someone do it? What's bad about it? And just kind of went through it, and I was like, I know exactly how this is going to go. And then
Halfway through the intro, oh shit.
yeah, yeah. So I did it at the gym. I literally messaged the Nathan from the Groom. I was like, look, we're going to be talking about anabolics on the news. What's your thoughts? He's like, I don't really care. All publicity is good publicity. And I was like, that's what I'm thinking as well.
Yeah.
And then I came back. It did so well. They took me for a second one, which was actually on TV. And then my gran was like, oh, I saw you on TV talking about steroids. But yeah, yeah, I've been around. I've been in. I was actually
I'm trying to find it, bruv. There was one 6 years ago, but oh, unless you were wearing a cap in the interview, that's not you, bruv.
no, that's not me.
He was
I don't know.
22, wasn't he?
Huh?
He was like 2022.
It must be 22, 23, maybe 23. Maybe search it online, just on Google or something. I'm not sure, but I'll try and find it after.
Yeah,
But
when
yeah,
I
I've
first came
been.
across you, it was just before that, and it was when you were working with Josh.
Mhm.
So before that, what was like your plans? Maybe coaching, bodybuilding, anything like sort of like before that? Or why did you sort of get into everything?
Cool. So I've been in the game since 2016 when I was 16 years old. I've actually got a post coming out soon. Um, my first thing was I always wanted to be a teacher or education or something. The original thoughts was a music teacher. So I self-taught myself drums, piano, and guitar. Wasn't too good, but I still play the guitar every now and then. And then PE was just a really easy option because like I'm not the best physically. I did rugby, wasn't really that good, but I did it. But like mentally, the theory side of things, I just kind of clicked.
Mm.
I walked in on GCSE PE at like a C because I just 100%ed the theory, which was sound. And then from then onwards, went to college, did sports coaching. Whilst doing sports coaching, did level two fitness instructor and level three personal trainer. So that would have been what 16, 17. Then literally went straight into personal training, worked at a gym. By the time I was 18, they wanted me to be assistant manager. And I was like, the fitness industry, even back then, the fitness industry was just shit. No money. Everyone's just shit. Did that, started coaching, um, got coached by Josh. Then
At this point, were you like, I want to compete?
yeah, so I think from about 2019, I was like, I want to compete, but I'm very well aware that I look shit. I mean, from the time I said I wanted to compete to the time I actually stood on stage, it took 7 years, of which 4 years as an anabolics. I
Why didn't
went
you compete naturally, out of curiosity?
uh even so from the 4 years I took anabolics, I still stood on stage at what did I step on stage? 69 kilos, and I came third to Harry and Joe at first timers who were natties. So, I mean, I definitely would have come last. And I was the oldest. So, like, for me, it just, I always knew I was going to do it. I remember dieting when I was 17 and took Clen and Anavar because my friend sold it. So I was like, fuck yeah, like, I'll do it. So I took that. And then just from then onwards,
You always got thrown onto you.
yeah, pretty much. I literally remember having the conversation with my mum and dad, and saying, I want to start anabolics. And they were 17 and they were like, look, we don't think it's right. If you can answer these questions, come back and we'll go through it again. So I came back 18 months later with all the questions asked, where I was going to do. It was like a whole business model. It's going to help me business here. It's going to help me physically here. My testosterone was low anyway. I had, was it 8.5? I think it was like 8.5,
Oof.
8.7.
Yeah.
So it was nothing like I would have done it regardless. And then just kind of, it helped me because I was someone relatively new talking about anabolics, and I was like 18. No, well, I would have been 19 at the time, maybe 20. But it was like when TM Cycles was around talking about anabolics and getting ridiculed. So it really worked in my favor. I remember at the time people were like, you're the young Joe Jeffrey. And I was like, wow, there's levels to that game, but I appreciate it. And then it just got to a point where I just looked shit, and I don't bulk very well either. Like I just carry body fat really bad, as you know. Like my transformation looked sick, but I lost like 35 pounds.
I was about to say that. Like, I remember seeing your transformation last year, and this is before. Look, I don't think we ever spoke at this point.
No.
And I was genuinely like, I remember seeing a story, just like swiping through. I literally scrolled back. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like,
Yeah.
it was the most like, it literally looks like genetically wise, you changed as well.
Hmm.
So like, since you were enhanced, had you ever got remotely close to like stage condition or anything before? Was there any like prediction that you were going to look how you did?
I always knew I carried body fat really bad. And I always knew when I got to like from like 10 weeks out, it just changed. I think that was when you messaged me or when you'd seen me. And that was when people started talking about me. Um, I think 1 year just before I signed up with Christian, so 2021 maybe. I got to like 75 kilos and I was like okay condition. I probably had like 10 kilos to lose, maybe like 8 kilos to lose from there. And that was when I was like, right, if I can control this, I could step on stage. And then it literally went from did that, binged, to the point where I was like, I need to send myself to hospital.
Nice.
You all look very well.
Yeah. Yeah. If I do really well, which I won't.
That's a reward. It's a reward. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's fine.
exactly.
It's fine.
Just it was just a reward for 3 weeks straight, and I just went straight back to 88 kilos. Um,
Impressive, that is.
yeah, yeah. And then joined Christian, and then it just kind of from there, I was like, I'm standing on stage. I know I need to do it in the next couple of years. Just before I stood on stage, I was like, fuck bodybuilding. I'm not doing like before I prepped.
I remember you like basically gave up, but then within a week you were like, fuck it, one more try.
Yeah, literally, I was like, what's the point? I'm not going to do very well. I'm fat. I can't grow. Left Christian, went on holiday, and I was just on holiday. And I was like, fuck it. Let's just do it. Like, just try it for once in my life, just back myself. So I did that 20 weeks prep, first timers. Wanted to do the universe. Was it universe? Yeah. Yeah, universe the week
I
after.
think we might have spoke about this. I think you said you wanted to do the universe, but you wouldn't have been able to do juniors.
Yeah. So turns out I could have. So I'm kind of pissed I
Did you
should have
wait,
given up.
really?
Yeah, could have. Because
Why,
I
why
was
couldn't you?
so it's 24. My 24th birthday was 3 days after competing.
Oh, right.
So I got told I couldn't do it, sent in an email saying, can I do it? And they were like, no. And then found out by a judge that I could do it. So I was like, what?
But why would I go? Oh, this job
Because
is.
because apparently 4 days of being 24, I just would have like blown up and got huge and won. So
I
yeah,
might consider that because I turned 24 a week before
yeah.
BC.
Because originally I was like, if I do it, I can rebound, which would have worked really well, and then done finals.
Yeah,
Which I can appreciate 6 months of them being 24 and going again and not being a
yeah.
junior. I get that, but it was like 3 days. So I was
So
literally,
3 days is allowed. What about 2 years? Is that okay?
yeah, it should be fine. I'm going to go back. Junior natty.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Natty. Yeah, Natty Junior. That's what I'll be doing this year. Yeah, yeah. All right. Christian, you're on UK the FBA, boy.
So what was like the plan coming out of prep?
So when I prepped, I originally wanted the way out of bodybuilding still. I wanted to do it and hate it. I thought I was going to hate it.
Basically, it
Um,
went the complete opposite.
yeah, I didn't want to be good at it and I didn't want to enjoy it. Being good is obviously relative, but I didn't want to enjoy it. I had intentions of just fully binging. I remember saying to Christian, I was like, mate, get
Well,
ready for it. I'm
pre-planned.
gonna fucking go for it. Um, but then on the day, I remember Christian coming around the corner and just being like, mate, you look so like you look at peace, you look chill. And I was like, I feel it. Like I slept fantastic on the day, it was amazing. It was so much fun. I felt bad saying it was the best day of my life, but it was at the time probably the best day of my life. Like it just felt right. I think
Show
doing
day, yeah.
that,
Show day.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think doing that for 8 years consistently and being ridiculed about like how I am and how I look and shit, I was just like, fuck you, like this is amazing. Came
Thing is,
third
I
in that.
literally was having a shower thought the other day, right? Or I was it, shower thought slash on, driving. I think it was on the
Mhm.
way to the gym at like 5 a.m. It's pitch black, there's no cars. I'm almost zoned out. I'm not crashing my car. It's okay. Not the second time
Not
anyway.
again.
Not again. Yeah. But I feel like show days are one of them things, right? It's like for me personally, you legit feel like you're on top of the world despite the result. I was
Yeah.
thinking about this. I was like, no matter how many times I've played shit, I've never won a show. I always feel like when you're on that stage, you're on top of you just feel invincible for about a minute of your life.
Yeah.
It's surreal. Like your fucking bottom lip's trembling, you're fucking shaking your shit like a dog, but you're thinking this is 20 weeks worth of absolute graft.
Mm.
I was gonna make a post about it, like thinking how people can cheat on their diet or do things in a prep, and get the goal to still stand on stage is beyond me. To absolutely nail your prep 20 weeks and get on stage in the best condition of your life and go, this is fucking awesome. Like it's the best fucking feeling ever to get to that end point.
Mm.
Like whether you do one show or six, whatever, it's just the best fucking feeling. Like
Yeah.
honestly, so I
It
know how
was
you feel.
unreal. Yeah, it was unreal. I think like on the day as well, it was like typical family were there and they were like, oh, you shouldn't come third. Like I don't agree with it. And I was like, I don't care. You know, in the messages you get like, oh, I think you've been robbed and
Yeah.
I was like, the thing is, I generally don't care, and I completely understand when people are like, I don't care. Like, I come second, third.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
like,
care.
I'm lucky that I don't think there's any show I've ever done where I should have placed higher. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I feel quite lucky about is that I don't have in my head I should have done that, I should have won that.
Mhm.
But I've
Yeah.
always been like, really content and like if anything, I feel like some shows I've actually placed higher than I probably should have.
Yeah.
Like I remember someone recorded like a routine from like one of my shows, and or like when people got like called up for first, second, third, and when I got called up for second. Someone in front just goes, he should have fucking came third. I was like, oh, cheers. Thank you very much. And the worst thing is, it was my dad who sent me the video. And I was like,
No, it was your dad that said it. It was your dad that said that fucking thing.
Yeah, his dad.
I
It's
was
his
like,
dad that
oh,
said it. Fucking
great for my
Josh.
confidence.
Should have come third, Josh should have. Fuck's sake.
Um, but no, I think before I think any of us competed with, everyone probably hears the thing is like, oh, it's just you're about to go on stage, you don't really get like nervous, etc. But you genuinely don't. Like, I remember walking up like the stairs at like town hall for like my first ever show, and I was literally like, I don't really care what happens. Like, I feel quite good. I feel quite confident. I feel like that happens with anyone going on stage.
I
Do you
think
get
my
like,
first ever show,
yeah,
I was very fucking nervous. My first men's physique show, but we don't talk about that. Them days were dog shit.
men's physique's boring. None of us have ever
I,
done.
I think that was the worst because I don't know. No, well, none of you would have maybe. Nah, Josh, you wouldn't have. But you know, UK the FBA, is it Ben Hall? I think it is. Is it Ben Hall? Might be Ben Hall in rugby.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. I've heard of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, them lights are the most hot and bright lights I've ever been under in my fucking life. And I walk out and I'm doing this fucking bullshit. I'm like, like, bro, I nearly cried that day. I swear to God, I was nervous like fuck. Especially when you're next to Jovan, like, absolute massive natty unit, and some other good kids. Thing is, once you get the first round going, though, you're normally all right. But that
Yeah.
day I remember the nerves that day.
I was fine until we stood up to go backstage, and then I had like 3 minutes of just like non-stop shaking, and then he comes up to you and he's like, "This is the biggest fucking day of your life. Like you're gonna go up there and you're gonna go and smash it." And I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
You hear
I don't
some,
know,
you
it's
hear
fine.
some fucking epic music in the background. You're like, fuck, okay. No,
Yeah.
To be fair, Sam, I know you've done one PCA, but he might have said this as well. You might have said it yours, Ethan. You know when you go back on for like the pose down,
Hmm.
did he ever say to you like just literally go out and kill each other, fucking hate each other?
Yeah, yeah,
Thing
Yeah,
yeah,
is, though, if people actually do that, all the
yeah. I
comments
know.
goes mental.
Yeah, he was literally like, this is the bit of the show. Like, you've got to go out and you've got to go and like budge each other and stuff. And I was like, but then when we do it, we get told off. Like, can't win.
I think somebody was recording it and nearly fucking uppercutted somebody doing like a twisting what's it called? You know, like the Arnold sort of
Yeah,
pose.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and nearly fucking like uppercutted somebody doing it. Like, oh, they do get fucking ferocious on that pose down, don't they? Like,
they
I
do.
was
Yeah, yeah.
right barging you.
So what? So you finished off stage and did you put down the cookies and you were like, I'm not going to bother having them.
Yeah, literally. The only reason I had a meal, and I remember telling people I was like, I don't really want this meal, is some of my mates had driven like 6 hours. They'd left at like 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
and because obviously I didn't win, I was on second class. It was like 11 o'clock, and I was like, right, well, you've just got here. You're now leaving. So I was like, right, come back to the Airbnb. I'll try and find something that I want. And I literally we had burger and fries, classic. Don't even think I like struggled to finish the burger, and then I was like, I've literally got chips left. All I wanted was some water, a shower, and I think I had a Pepsi Max, and I was buzzing with that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, I just remember saying to Christian, I was like, this is it. Like, we're gonna go for it now. Let's send it. Got blood work done 2 days after. Had a 4 week health phase. Was back to it until obviously shit happened in hospital and all that. But yeah, the plan was to just get fucking big and just risk like take my life basically, which is kind of what happened.
Do you want to explain that about? Because I've always had a few questions. I don't know if you want to go through that as
Yeah,
personal information, but the whole
Can you give me a
aftermath.
second? I can't, you put in the same breath to get massive and take my life, that nearly happened.
literally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Jesus.
basically I'm one of those people where I don't even think it's incorrect. Like genetically, I hate saying it, but it just is true. I could like trip and I could snap my neck. Like I'm always injured. I've got something wrong with me.
Yeah.
I'm not people that know me are like you just have the worst genetics ever in whatever sense it may be. So I've got asthma. I'm allergic to myself. Right, it's called chronic urticaria. So I'm allergic to my own skin. So like right now, red, all those like blushes and stuff, and I get like hives. It's just my skin. I just get allergic to myself. Um, Loads of injuries and shit like that. Basically, the general consensus was I have the heart of a 60-year-old, which may or may not be anabolic induced, and the lungs of an 80-year-old. And it was tough because to go from the best I've ever been, biggest I've ever been, obviously like the first post-show rebound was mental. To then not be able to like I was doing 300 steps on average per day for about 6 weeks. Just like what I'm doing now is what I had to do for 6 weeks straight because I just couldn't breathe. Um, so and then actually just before I stopped, I also tore my rotator cuff, which was just fantastic. Um, so just put it off. I couldn't breathe. My asthma was getting worse, and I was like, "It's fine. Like it will stop." Didn't stop. It was getting worse. And I've got some videos. I'll show you guys after. And it's literally just me going. That was my breathing all day. Um, Someone went out for a walk, and this was probably about week 5, when I was like, I think I'm in trouble now. I was doing an inhaler probably every day and a half, 2 days, and they're
Oh,
like 200 puffs. Yeah. She went out on a
more
walk.
than a vape, that is. Christ.
Yeah.
That's more than me
Yeah.
on prep. That was bad.
Literally. When I told the nurses, they were like, "What?" Yeah. So she went on a walk, and I had to go up to get a phone charger or something. I made it up 3 steps. Bear in mind, the sofa to the stairs is probably 10 steps. 3 steps up, and I just like led down, and I was like, "I'm done for." Message someone, I was like, "You need to come back. I'm gonna ring." I was like, I still didn't ring 999. I rang 111 because I was like, "This is not an emergency. Don't worry about it." And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we'll get you in at 7 o'clock." And I think it was like 2 at the time. So I was just waiting. They said, if anything gets worse, let me know. So I parked basically on the disabled thing as if I could walk in. And I walked in and I was like, I think you need to see me. And that was like, it was like, I think you need to see me. So they like rushed me and did my vitals. Heart rate was 150. Blood pressure was like 195 over 110 or something. They were like, right, you need to go to A&E. Went to A&E, was rammed. The wait was supposed to be, I think it was like 4.5 hours. It was like a Saturday night. And I gave them the letter and they're like, right, get on a bed. 15 minutes later, I was on a bed. So I was like, shit, this is serious.
Yeah.
So for 24 hours straight on oxygen with nebulizers, just led on like hospital beds. And then they basically said they don't know what it is. They didn't know if it was COVID. The general consensus was it was a bit of everything. It was like pneumonia, pneumonitis, COVID, and just my own asthma flare up. Um,
Yeah.
and then they basically said, if you stay in hospital, we can't do anything. And if you catch something, you're gone, you're dead. So I was like, right, let's just give me what I need and get me out. Um, and that was pretty much it. From then onwards, it was just relatively plain sailing. It was like it took me about 2 weeks to go on my first walk, and that walk was like around the shops, and I was like, oh, that was tough. Um, yeah,
He's like,
literally,
where's your 10K, boy?
yeah. So it took me about
Yeah,
my first 10.
Christian just like, yeah, mate, you're doing great, but you need to be getting this done.
Don't want it
It's so
enough, right?
important for digestion.
Digestion walks.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. And then at the minute, I know you said you want to like, what do I do in the future? I don't really know. I was TRT, like legit TRT 120, and even that put me at like 29.5, so just over. For 6 months, something like that, 6 months. I'm 3 jabs deep into my first blast since coming back, and that blast is like 400 milligrams total load. Now, considering in prep I was doing like 1.6 grams or something. This is like my experiment phase of can I push it? What's blood pressure going to do? Because like even now my blood pressure is 140, and that's just like where it is. So it's more a case of I don't want it to be there. I'm trying to bring it down. Some days it's like 120, some days it's not. I still need my inhaler all the time. I probably use it like 4 times a day. But it's like quality of life. So I'm trying to figure out where I lie. Do I push things up, grow a bit more muscle, feel good, maybe help me in the long run? Not too sure. But when I step on stage, if I step on stage again, it will probably be like I'll be one of those where like I'm back out retirement and it'll be like 2030 or something like that, and just why not?
So do you actually think it was like did they actually test that it was actually illness related, or was that just them like assuming or guessing? It was
Or was
that
that a combination of like multiple things due to quite a
So
lot?
what they said originally, there was like 6 different doctors in the space of like 3 hours, and they were like, "No, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine." One of them said pneumonia. The other one came in 20 minutes later. Was like, "No, it's not pneumonia, because if it's pneumonia, it'd be this. We think it's just asthma." And I was like, "I'm 24 years old. I've had asthma all my life. I know when it's an asthma flare up, like this is not it." Another doctor came in, went, "No, it's not pneumonia, it's not asthma, it's pneumonitis." And then like another one came in and said something different. So I was like, "Can we just agree
it's
it's just
AIDS?
yeah,
Like, bro, I'll be honest, the NHS, right? Although I love the fact that we get free healthcare, we get free healthcare. They pay
yeah,
fucking tax in this country.
yeah,
Although it's free healthcare, I think the
It
standards of
is,
the
right?
NHS really fucking wind me up because, like, I mean, I'm lucky that I'm in a way employed and I actually get some private healthcare. Like, to
mm,
an extent, I pay like 15% of what the costs are for private healthcare. And the service I get from private healthcare is fucking night and day.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
beyond me. The amount of like even I even called the fucking reception to book I've got like a small surgery that I need something removed from my skin basically like in a
mm,
few months. And even the receptionist sounded more knowledgeable than some of the fucking GPs I've spoken to in the NHS.
yeah,
It's beyond me. And for you to be in there basically nearly on death's door to then
mhm,
go, oh, you might have AIDS, you might have fucking leukemia,
yeah.
you might have cancer. Like it's fucking concerning, man.
It was
Do you know what I mean?
crazy. And like when I was in there, the nurses were just complaining about it, basically. Like I think there'd been something going on or they were doing checks or something. And one of the nurses that like just does 9 to 5, like does all the checks, she was like, why have you done that? Why have you not done that? Why have you not done that? And the nurse just goes, will you fucking do it then? She was like, I've just come off like this is my last hour of like a 16-hour shift. I'm the only one in this one. There's 15 others of these. We can't do it,
Yeah.
basically. And I was like, "You're right." And she was just like, "It's the NHS is just fucked." She was like, "This is
Well,
coming from her."
mate, I get, like, I'll be honest, I get what I do for work. I get paid more than a fucking NHS nurse,
Yeah,
and yeah. I'm sorry, but I think the NHS in this country is gonna. I think it's falling
yeah.
dramatically.
Well, I went in. So prior to the 5 weeks before going in hospital, I went in 8 weeks before that with concerns. And basically, what one of them said, I had heart pains, heart palpitations. When I lie down, it got worse, which was like heart issues, like heart attack kind of thing. They were like, yeah, well, all we can really do is basically if you come into us lying on the floor telling me you're dying, we can send you to A&E and then go from there. And then they rang me and they were like, we are concerned your blood pressure is high because at the time it was like 170. I was like, thank God for that. She said, you can go private, but like referred to private. I was like, yeah, cool. How much more have I got to drive? She's like, 30 minutes. Sound. When's the appointment? We can get you in next week. I was like, what? Turned up, heart scan, echo, everything, results within 2 or 3 days.
Bro, it's yeah, like
Even,
The only like, similar sort of experience, it wasn't anywhere near as like urgent, was I had blood work and like an ECG done after my prep last year.
mm,
ECG was like I had one done about May sort of time last year, and it was like a bit irregular. The like private doctor who I work with was, I say work with, where do I go to? Basically said like it could show some signs of like LVH. I was like, that's not great, and then it just got worse.
mhm,
But it was, obviously I can't read it, but he was like, it looks like it, but it just looks irregular. So like you're gonna need to go and get an echo done.
mhm.
And I was like, right, okay. And he was like, well, if you're on the NHS, you might be having to wait till like April. And I
Yeah,
was like, in my head, I'm like, I feel like I'm quite naive. I was like, I'm going to be sound, but I'm
yeah,
not waiting until April because I'm not going to allow myself to go back on gear if I've maybe got some LVH symptoms. So I'm like, no. Eventually, I had to book it in. It was like 300 quid, but it was like 5 days later. But I had to drive to Southampton at 9 a.m. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Came
I
back
had
every it was fine.
I had LVH as well. I like the only thing I can say is first of all, I got my tax bill paid for. Like I felt I was like, at least my money's gone somewhere good towards myself. Like that's good. But also the deep dive I did into just general health inside of like anabolics. Like when you say about the region of things, like you look into ejection fraction and all this kind of stuff about heart health, it just it made me a better coach. So I'm like, I'm thankful because I do think if I was still bodybuilding, I probably it would have happened
it is
regardless.
crazy, it's fair in this industry. Like you need to almost have an issue to start understanding it better. Like I'm not the most knowledgeable on a lot of topics, but one thing I've done a lot of research on is something I've got an issue with,
Yeah,
acne.
yeah,
Like people cut like I've had Joe Gang come to me and say, "What do you do for acne?"
hmm
Because guess what? I'm a sufferer and still am a sufferer, and I'm constantly trying to find the next solution
mm.
to acne. So hence why my knowledge is then comes from that. So when I get more issues in the future, I'm sure I'll be more knowledgeable on them things. But hopefully it's not death because I can't really tell you from dead, mate. So
Experience
if
dire.
you, yeah, I've come back from that dead, mate. To tell you how not to die next time. I was
I think
close to crashing my car. To be fair, that was close.
think that leads in quite nicely to something because I know quite well one of Ethan's clients, Jacob, and you helped out a bit with his skin, didn't you?
Me,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so do you want to like
Balloons.
run through that as well? But I don't know how the balloons came up.
What was the question? Sorry.
Like in terms of just how, so like a lot of your content at the moment is like about like things like digestion, things like skin health, things like that. Like if, like Sam, I don't know if you know Jacob
I
Randall.
know Jacob. Yeah,
The
Randall.
quad.
But like I
Randall.
remember like his like acne is like it was I don't think it was awful. It wasn't horrendous, but it was
Mm,
definitely present. And now like it's virtually like it's some minor scarring at the very most. Do you get what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So do you want to sort of like go through things like that, maybe?
Yeah, I think like the first thing is it's going to come down to how severe you think it is. Like I have some clients, they get 3 spots and they're like, oh my God. Like I
Don't.
remember having, yeah, I had one guy
Don't.
that was like, oh, I had to pop this spot, so I'm going to come off. And I'm like, right, okay, well, we did discuss this. I'll have some clients where I would deem it like borderline. Like I've always had good skin. I know it's just a weird flex, but I've like I think it's dependent on how someone views it. And for Jacob, his at the time, Jacob's the type of person where he was like, "Tell me what I need to take and how many years it's going to take off my life, and I'll do it." So at the time, it was like, "Well, acne's part of it, so it's fine." And then it got worse and worse, and I was like, "Look, I've obviously brought it up before. I think we should do something about it." And like sometimes it's just as simple as drop gear down. And I think that for him, we did just drop gear down. We spent time. We just like added changed diet stuff. But then you've obviously got people like Sam where you do everything under the sun and it just
I
doesn't fucking
think it's
work.
like pinpointing if it's like because some of it can be gear induced or some of it could be
Yeah,
for me is root genetic induced through something another
yeah,
mean, and that's one thing is like if you get a new client on who I had somebody come to me with acne, his name is George, you might be listening to this, But he came to me with acne, and when he came, it was a lot worse than what it is now. But his was gear induced. So
Mm.
again, it's sorting out the fact that it's and pinpointing, right? Do you have this before? No. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's probably gear induced then, and how
Yeah.
you can go about that. And then there's other sides to it, which is obviously the root cause if it's not gear induced. But thing is, the annoying thing is gear does not make it better. So it's
Hmm.
trying to now I'm now dealing with trying to balance that and this, which is a fucking annoyance. But yeah.
Yeah, like it's definitely person dependent, like you say. I've got a client Bailey. He's only just, and I'm very reluctant in him doing it, started taking Accutane. Um, and that's like self-prescribed because the doctors will get him to do like 60 milligrams. And I was like, that's not happening. But I know Bailey from college. He had gyno natty. He had that like acne when he was natty as well. And he'd been to a coach and his first cycle was like 1.1 grams straight away. And it was like, right, I've added test in. Oh, I've got acne. Cool. We'll just add in Primo. Oh, that didn't work. We'll just add in Mast on top of that. And it was like 1.1 grams. So he came to me and I was like, whoa. So we did manage to fix it. And then just from like stresses and stuff and obviously just genetics as well, he was like, I can't do it anymore. Like I'm lying down, I'm going to the gym, I'm bleeding. It's not good. We'd fixed like the outside, but he'd also had gyno surgery. We like did two birds in one stone. So wearing the thing just made it flare up again. So I was like, look, Accutane, 20 milligrams, we'll leave it at that. And he's now 2 weeks in, and no, it's been a week and a half in, I think, and he has improved. But I was like, I don't want you on this at all because it's
You know
just
what?
yeah,
Accutane is one of them things. It's highly toxic. It is poor.
yeah,
But from my bloods and what I had through the NHS, because do you want me to tell you how much I got up to?
probably like 100.
Yeah, so I got to like 90 milligrams, but I was weighing 65 kilos at the time.
But for reference, can you break that down? Because I was
So
going to
you're
say,
meant to be basically max peak. You're meant to be like a milligram per kilo
Yeah.
max, realistically, like NHS. And they used to work on a model back in the day, probably like 2015, where they used to just be on a high dosage scale.
Hmm.
They have trimmed it back now from my research, where they now sort of work on a longer period and short and smaller dosages because it actually is more effective and healthier.
Yeah.
But they still like to ramp people up. But when I was 15, 16, I got up to 90 milligrams because my acne was that bad. And in terms of what that did to me, joints probably felt like glass.
Hmm.
My lips used to
does the
fracture.
skin look quite dry?
My skin actually wasn't too bad compared to some people's results. My lips and around my nose used to fracture and crack and bleed. Same with like some bits of my feet as well. Also under here, I gained eczema underneath my armpits. Um, Yeah, so those, and then in terms of other things, they say like suicidal thoughts, but I don't know. It's very hard to understand how that comes, but I think that's just one of them things they put on there because somebody has been under the influence, has unfortunately
Yeah.
taken their life. It's one of them symptoms, but I don't think how chemistry wise it can necessarily alter that, but that's just my perspective. Someone might like to tell me, but yeah, it's not fun. But in terms of 10 to 20 milligrams, honestly, if you get blood work done as regularly as you do on gear, I'll
Yeah.
be honest
Yeah.
with you, you should be completely fine.
Yeah. 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 Like that's what we've done. I think he said he's got like not breakable ones. That's like a liquid one, which I didn't know. So
Oh,
he's taking.
really? I've never heard of that in my
Yeah,
lifetime.
because I was like, snap it in half. What do you mean? He was like, I can't. It's like a capsule. I was like, okay, cool. We'll just take 20 then. But yeah, so far so good. But it's been like, it's one of those where when he'd come from a coach and was like, I don't trust coaches, I was like, listen, this is going to take a really long time potentially. You have to trust me here. It was almost one of those where you're like, I will give you your money back if it doesn't work. Because you've got to find out then what is it? Is it anabolics? Is it diet? Is it anti whatever it is? And then it's like, if it's gut health, let's extend that another year because you get the tests. And then with gut health, it's like, right, we take the food out. Let's wait a week for this food to come out. Does it work? And then like it's just potentially such a long process. It could just be like Jacob's was, just drop down gear and you're fine. Just be a little bit smarter. Or it could be a year and a half process where you're like,
It's honestly, I love this topic because I've done so much into it. It's so
mm,
fucking interesting for me. But like, because there's so many different things with the skin. It's like, for example, with let's say acne, you have active acne,
yeah,
then you have hyperpigmentation, and then you have scarring. And there are
hmm,
three different things which can make the look worse.
hmm,
And the one I'm suffering with right now is hyperpigmentation. So my skin's coming down, but the hyperpigmentation is so poor because, for example, tanning beds are great, but the issue with that is you tan more, hyperpigmentation also is melanin produced, so you end up having darker hyperpigmentation.
yeah,
So it looks even worse, but you're more tanned. And what I'd say is if you might know you probably already know this because you have acne people, but the best way is looking at products with acid bases in them to break down that hyperpigmentation layer,
Yeah.
or even like laser therapy or like even massage induced to break up that blood in the hyperpigmentation and help it clear. But when you have someone like me or somebody who has quite active acne, it's just annoying because you end up clearing, hyperpigmentation goes slightly, but then it can come, but you get a bit more acne, and then you get this whole repetitive cycle where you're trying to clear and resolve. Yeah, it's annoying. But one thing for me, prep clears it.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm not eating anything anymore.
Yeah.
So mine's gut related from what I can see so far, but I'm yet to still find the root cause.
Do you think that's a potentially reason why you want to prep again? Because it's like you do feel good.
Yes, like I know that I'm probably not one. I just love competing, as we've
Mhm.
already discussed in this call, which is cool. I love it, but two, it's it's a time for me to clear. Like the most annoying thing is for me, one trigger will set my acne off. I blasted on my test and my back was as clear as it possibly could be. It was sick. I was like, this is cool. My gear doesn't affect me in terms of skin. Went to Morocco, came back with E. coli, and that triggered it.
Yeah.
So I had a weakened bowel from E. coli. That then spiraled into still going into a cruise, which then had hormone fluctuations. And basically, it was a combo for me just having the worst flare up I've had probably in a couple of years. And now I'm slowly getting over that. But, the active ones are going down, but what I'm left with, a lot of hyperpigmentation and a lot of inflammation still. So prep starts at some point when Josh starts his prep as well.
I'm
We,
prepping as well now.
oh, yeah, oh, yeah, go on. One binge first, one last binge before
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go.
go on, why not?
But no, is that something like you definitely want to do again? Like, would you definitely say to yourself that I want to do another prep?
Yeah, there's no expectations. I know I love it now. I know I can do it. I just think with where I'm at, it's like I know for a fact, and you'll all agree, I'm a much better coach than I am a bodybuilder. Like it doesn't take an experienced eye to really see that. I've got guys like Jacob that will be pros and will do very well and will do that. And I'd much rather put my time there. Like the whole reason I competed in May so early was because I was a junior, but the rest of the season was for me to give my clients. Like I didn't want to be dieting at the same time. I wanted to find out I could do it. I wanted to get my name out there and get some respect and get more clients. Like I said, if I did, it would have to be stars aligned. I feel big enough and good enough because at the minute I'm smaller than when I was if I was to prep now I'd be smaller. Take that into consideration. I'm now not a junior and I lost to natties. It wouldn't make sense. I'd probably come on as like a masters and I'd just be really grainy, but still not huge. That's probably when I'd come back. I'd be like, right, I'm 40 now, let's just go for it. Um,
I always find that as soon as someone goes into masters, their skin just looks like it's got so much winched on in
yeah,
there. So
yeah, yeah. Just
dry.
like shrivels up.
Yeah, it's like this. If you're 39, sound. The second you go to 40, you are dry as fuck.
Yeah,
The nutsack look, innit? The
yeah,
cold
yeah,
nutsack
yeah.
look.
The Benidorm look, yeah.
Yeah.
No, like coaching
Leather
one.
skin.
So obviously we know you used to. So when did you start working for Josh? Now this is always like we've got back to now.
Mhm.
Talk about the future. Now we're going all the way back to kind of talk about coaching.
So started online coaching 2017, really early.
This is ages ago then.
Yeah, I've been I'm just like not a big name, but I've been in the game.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so started 2017, coached by Josh 27.
God, you started coaching when I was in year 10.
I would have been 17. So yeah, I would have left school
Ah.
it was after I left the year after I left school. Just sent it. I was like, fuck it. I saw someone do it. I was like, yeah, cool. I don't have to be qualified. Obviously got the qualifications anyway. Did the uni degrees, did all that kind of stuff, did all the muscle metal stuff. But yeah, did that, signed up to Josh, was with Josh for about 2 years before I met him in person. It was over lockdown. He's like, I've got a gym at my house. You are one of my closest clients. Do you want to come? It's like, sound. Came, trained. Uh, I was doing 45 minutes of driving there and back every single day just to train because I was like, I've got nothing else to do. Was on furlough money. So that was like, I must have been filling up my car two times a week.
At least petrol was cheap then, to be fair. It was like a
Yeah, it
quid.
was. It was
I
like
remember
That was
I
like
see,
quid, wasn't it? It was
bro,
brilliant.
it went below
yeah,
£1 for like a day. I remember when it went to
yeah,
99p and I got a picture on my phone of it. It's
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. So I was
The
doing that.
worst thing was that was like just as I started learning to drive, just like I passed my test about a week before lockdown, and it was only because I found a cancellation on like some website or
Fucking
something.
hell, you are young, aren't you? Fuck me.
Yeah. So but if I didn't get that cancellation, I wouldn't have been able to pass my driving test like the following year because everything got sort of got it backloaded.
Mm,
Uh, so I just assumed the price of petrol was just £1 all the time.
yeah.
But then, do you remember in like 2021 when it went to like £2 and I was like, what
Bro,
the fuck?
I remember going up to 205 and I was like, wow.
bro, you put fucking 20 quid in your car and you get like one, like not even a fucking quarter tank. You're like, what the fuck is this robbery?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
And
I
that was,
remember I had some like Seat Ibiza, it was horrendous. And I remember I think one time I put like 100 quid in it and I was like, that's depressing.
it,
You
it went to
fucking,
205 and I just bought my Fiesta ST and stage 2'd it. And then that was not a good time to have £2 petrol.
oh, fucking hell. Good
But yeah,
Lord.
so it was with Josh, went up train with him, and it was at the time when Brightman made Luke Harper a second coach. And I remember Josh was like, they were obviously friends, but he was like, I want to be better than Brightman. So just out of nowhere, I was like, if you want to do it, like, I'll be there, I'll do it, I'll push it, like, go for it. And he literally messaged me that evening and was like, let's do it, let's just go for it. So was his second coach for 18 months, and then left him. Just it wasn't working out. I was fairly straight with him. He had other priorities. It wasn't the best business model. It's not as good as it was now. Had a couple of sleepless nights over it, and I was like, I need to tell you, basically, you're just not good. Basically, in terms of like business, you've got other things. I appreciate I'm the last priority, but it's not working for me. And then I left there, and EBH, Enhanced by House, was a thing, and it's now been, what would it, checking sheets today? It was 104 weeks or something like that. So yeah,
Well,
two.
I do think it's like, what is it? Like back then, I'm trying to think off my head. There's not many like coaches I can think of who had that like secondary coach back then. It was quite a
Mhm.
fresh
I would
thing.
say
Yeah,
I was
I
the
don't
second
agree.
or third ever second coach, which
That's
is
what I mean. But like now, it's like common, but it's done well.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's now
I think
people have found that model. Pro coach, you got physique pro, obviously. You've got I mean, it's fair, physique is physique collective, I guess. Technically, I mean, they're
yeah,
not,
I think
aren't they?
I was
Technically
that
are,
more
aren't they? But they're not.
yeah. They were originally, now they're not really.
It's weird how that dynamic works because it doesn't really, it didn't, yeah, it's like that. I think physique collective is one which is a bit like they seem like their own coach. It's not really like a
Yeah.
co-coach and it, do you know what I mean? It's
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been enhanced by RS for literally probably 2 years this week, which is pretty cool. But I've been in the game, just not very big in the game at the minute. Not yet.
so how would you say like the difference? What was like the main sort of like differences you found from like when you started off on your own? Things that you learn working with Josh, and then things that you've like taken all into like because like now at the moment, like if anyone goes on your page, transformations are ridiculous. You've got people on stage pretty much every single month of the year when their show's on now, which is
Mm,
wicked.
mm,
How would you say you've almost like progressed up from that over time? Because I remember like back when I used to work with Reese, that was something which I was definitely thinking like I'd love to be in that position. I'd love to be in that position. I probably was in the same position eventually when you left. Josh was like, this probably isn't working out for me. I kind of want to do my own thing.
mhm.
What was sort of like the one thing that you took from everything, even though you probably didn't like it when you were working with Josh at the end, that probably still stuck and probably still helped now, would you say?
Um, oh, I think just education, really. It's pretty boring, but I don't think there's so many people that are just so fucking shit at being a coach because they look good. And I'm seeing it time and time again. Exactly why, shameless plug, my prices are increasing because the people I'm missing out on are the same coaches or similar coaches charging £100 more than me. And then I get the same, I know in my head, but I don't want to slag someone off. I get a message 2 months later, yeah, they were really shit. I want to come to you. So like it's just the education because I don't look really good, especially at the minute, but because I don't look really good, I need to have something different. So like my point is originally it was anatomy because of all my injuries, I was like, well, why can't I squat? I'm seeing people just saying, you've got to squat. Why can't I squat? Why can't I do this? Why does it hurt? So did all the muscle mentals and stuff, did the seminars, paid for all that. And then it was like, well, why aren't I growing? Why is it this? Why is it that? And what I've found now is people are doing consults, they go into other, clients are going to other coaches for consults and this, that, and the other, or they're leaving someone, for example, like people go to Hilly Doc for digestion or something like that. I was like, why can't I be the coach that does everything?
With
So if
everything.
someone says to me, they go, oh, this is my issue, rather than me going, I don't know, it will either be, right, I'll find out for you right now, or I will pay for a call, we can both go on it so you understand as well, or I know it anyway. So like a big thing at the minute, because obviously it's just big in the world, is digestion. It's like the stomach. And I'm like, cool, fantastic, I've got it. Obviously, like I'm by no means the smartest in the world, but my job at the minute is to just do everything and be not super holistic in terms of bodybuilding, because bodybuilding is so much more than just growing muscle now. And I think people are finding that out now, and they are going to coaches that can grow muscle and actually don't know anything else. So like, yeah, I think the big thing is always be that small fish, whether that is because physically you are, but just never be afraid to learn and never be afraid to reach out and ask other coaches, oh, I've got my client doing this. What do you think? Like the amount of times I've been to Christian, Tom Taylor, like all these kind of people, Josh, and I'm like, what do you think of this?
I
They're
think
going to
it's
do the
quite
same.
scary, isn't it, for some people to do? Because I remember I was doing it, like, we know
Yeah.
when obviously I prepped Josh, and the first time I've ever prepped, well, at first I was Natty doing
Mm.
coaching assisted client, so that was different. But going to Christian and going to Tom Taylor saying, like, asking for a second opinion, asking what do you think,
Yeah.
I was scared because I was almost like, I'm going to them, basically calling myself out saying I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And it's scary, but the actual response you get is a lot different to what you probably expect
And it,
because
I think people get scared if you go, oh, I've gone to the coach to help you. You think they're going to go, oh my God, I'm just going to go to that coach. When actually they go, I really appreciate you actually want like caring for me and going to someone else, because otherwise they're going to pay £100 extra or 50, 20, whatever it is extra to go to another coach. Like realistically, I'm fortunate enough to not really be in that position anymore. But whenever things came up, I'd literally just be like, I'll pay for the consult. We'll do it together. And now I have clients that have been with me for like 4+ years because they understand that that's just the way it is. Yeah. Education would be the big thing. That's really all coaching is, really, isn't it? I think these days, caring about someone, deeply caring about their goals from the second someone says, I'm interested in coaching, it's like, right, cool, I am fully invested in this. When can we jump on a call? Like just having that passion, and then just never being scared to learn. And if you don't know something, fantastic, good. That's the perfect opportunity to become better.
you
Yeah.
can't, you think, I think it's easy to get under the impression like to expect yourself to know everything.
Yeah.
Um, and you learn the hard way when someone asks you the question that you don't have a clue about. So don't beat around the bush and try to guess it. Immediately on the one, I'm all immediately when it's you can gauge if the question's quite easy to probably learn about sometimes. So
Mm.
I Google it first. I always Google the question first if I don't know and just double check. If not, I resort to my first point of contact, people that are close to me.
Yeah.
And then if that's really thinking like if the answer's still a bit skewed, then I'm a bit like I want to know a bit more. Then I'll go and I would do more research, or I'll go and get on a consult, for
Yeah.
example.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's what I love though. Like, if I'll put like a question box up and someone asks a question that I don't know the answer to, I'm so happy because I'm like, I don't have to answer this immediately. Say, for example, if I put a question box up, I'm going to get back to it tomorrow or something. I don't know. And say someone asks it right now. Say Ethan asked the question right now and I didn't know the answer. I'd be like, cool, I'm going to find the answer out by the time I answer the question. But then
Mhm.
that's almost something which I've learned about, but I probably learned about something else as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, that's why like I like doing things like that. But then probably like the same as like what you boys said, it's like whenever something's come up, be it with me or with a client or something, I now don't care if I have to go to Sam or Tim or Tom or whoever it might be and say, what do you reckon about this? What do you reckon about that? Because I'm going to learn something out of it. And the next time it comes up, also if something very similar comes up, I've got the answer then. But I get the question all the time is like, how do you learn so much? I was like, the easiest way to learn is just ask people who know the answer.
You've got to want to do it. You've actually
Literally,
got to
like
want to learn.
Yeah,
swallow your pride of the fact that you probably don't know the answer. The amount of times I've DM'd people off like stories and be like, "This isn't like I'm not trying to be an idiot here. Can you explain this to me? Why are you doing that?"
Mm.
So I just want to know the reason because you're never going to know too much,
Yeah.
and the second that you do think you know too much, that's when you probably know fuck all.
and a
And
lot of the
I,
fucking time you end up, what's it called? You learn stuff. Like it's so easy to go through the whole of J for university, and if it's got to go like this and go,
Mhm.
straight out
Yeah,
of that side.
Yeah.
And when you're not necessarily in the most privileged position to have 120 clients, let's say,
Yeah.
where you probably have these repeating questions and you'll always be able to test your knowledge on a regular basis. When you have maybe a smaller amount of clients, you don't get these questions as often. It's easy to let some key information just go.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going through the ICM education right now. I've just signed up to that. I'm doing that. And how much shit I've started learning about going, fuck me. Like I remember learning this a few years ago and
Hmm.
it being fresh then, but I fucking forgot that right now.
yeah.
But it's coming from a different person. So, I did J3, but now I'm listening from Carl. It's like, oh, now I know why I'm doing this shit again. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like we can also learn everything, but being able to apply that to a different person is different as well. Like I did a seminar last weekend, like I said, I can tell you moment arms, all that kind of shit, but actually knowing what a moment arm is, how it's going to change and applying that to someone that can't squat or can't do this. The seminar I did on the weekend was really, really easy stuff. Like some of the stuff I was like, I learned that when I was like year 10, but then it's like, how can you actually apply that? So it was with a physio, Josh Carr, shout out Coach Carr. It's just like being able to apply things and be like actually applicable, and understand you can learn everything, but actually, you can learn the perfect cycle, but that perfect cycle, especially with anabolics, is going to be completely different for all three of us. My
Oh,
perfect cycle doesn't go above 200 milligrams testosterone, but you've
yeah.
got coaches that say start at 300. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
fucking ridiculous.
It's because we actually spoke about this like, earlier in the week on like a different podcast because
Mm,
my cycle design completely changed to anything I've ever run before.
yeah,
But if we were to give that to Sam, it would be the complete wrong thing to fucking do.
yeah,
I'll
Like,
be one big fucking acne then. I'll be
like
fucked.
yeah.
my
You are
test,
the acne.
I
my
am the
test is now at a
Spartan.
gram. My test is a gram. I got master at 200. I got EQ at 200. Never fucking ran EQ in my life.
With test at a gram, I'd be doing keepy uppies with my tits.
Yeah.
Name,
And like,
name our junior.
Yeah, I'm Matty, I swear.
Yeah.
but yeah, like I think I think it's genuinely like fascinating. Like I've even had like clients come on board. I'm not going to name, but he started listening to a lot of these podcasts anyway. And when he signed up, I was on the call with him. I was like, learning about like what he's run before, and he was like, "Yeah, so I didn't get any side effects at all when I was just taking tests on its own." I was like, "Okay, but how much you take?" He's like, "Oh, 750." I
Mm.
was like, "Yeah, first cycle." Then I put it up to a gram and put 2 tabs of D-bol in a day, and then I started getting some guidance. So I pulled them back down, and I was like, "That's wild," because I've obviously never taken D-bol because I don't think I'm an idiot,
Yeah,
but that's also something which I want to learn about.
yeah.
So I'm starting to get a lot more people come on board that have run it or want to run it, and I've got to be like,
Very common, isn't it?
yeah, it's a lot
Very
more common than I
common.
thought.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
even things like EQ. Like I, in theory, wouldn't give EQ to a client, but I've got clients where it makes sense to give them EQ, and
yeah.
people are like, "Oh my God, worst coach ever." Well, no, this is just one out of the other clients that should be taking it for this very specific
But
reason.
if you asked me 6 months ago, would you take EQ about no, it's wank.
Mm.
Immediate, just nope, wank.
That's
Like
why.
because when you messaged me before the podcast the other day about like we're gonna do a podcast today on DHB and EQ, I was like, I'll be honest with you, mate. I've looked partially into EQ and I've know nothing about DHB, so I'm gonna do a quick research now just to have something for the podcast
But
because I've
it's
probably
weird though,
never
because
presented
like,
anybody.
'cause at the moment though, like it's weird that like obviously it's been put in now, but like I think so far this year, someone's asked me about using EQ every single week.
Mm.
I don't know if something's just come up where everyone just wants to.
It's a trend. It's another trend, isn't it?
Yeah. So in my head, I was like, I kind of want to get some like, anecdotal evidence on that.
Just wait
Uh,
for the oral only stack trend to come around.
oh,
That'll be
no.
fun.
But,
Josh was
yeah,
saying,
like,
Tim's now sent me just Anavar and D-ball every day, mate. Do you know what I
Sprinkle it
mean?
on your chicken and rice.
Yeah.
super, like Ethan, have you ever been? I don't think you've ever been self-coached, like relatively recently.
Uh, Post hospital, I self coach for about 8 weeks, but I'm not accountable to myself. I know exactly what I need. I know exactly what I
Too many
want to do.
binges, too many binge sets in your plan. Do you know what I mean? Just
Literally, I know exactly what I need to do, what I want to do, how my body works, and then I'm like, right, plans made.
meal
But
one,
yeah,
binge.
yeah, literally, just yeah, I can't do it. I have to be coached. I've been for the since 2017. I've probably gone 8 months total without a coach. I
Yeah.
can't do it. Yeah,
Because
Yeah,
I
that's
remember I've been self-coached for 5 days since 2021. And I was
that's
like, in
really
my head, I
good.
was like playing around with that. I was like, I kind of want to do it because I kind of want to, again, just like find out some different things about how different things work. and almost put the responsibility onto myself. And
Mm.
I was like, I want to try and find even like not even drug wise, even like different things training, different things food, but of course drugs as well. I was like, I want to find anecdotal evidence on myself about how different drugs work. So when a client signs up who's maybe a bit stupid with anabolics before, but they really like a certain compound that I beforehand would have never touched, I want to be able to say, okay, we can use it, but this is how we're going to use it. This is when we're going to use it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like if you've got a good coach anyway, you can have that conversation and they're probably going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I always say to clients, if you want to try something, at the end of the day, it's your body. Just tell me you're doing it. And I'll probably say, this is really fucking stupid, but we're going to do it anyway because you want to do it. Or it will just be a straight no go, be coached by someone else.
Yeah.
Like it's probably going to help that coach understand as well. As long as you signed off and said, look, this is cool. You've got to screenshot it or whatever, just to like back yourself. You can normally try those things. Like it's just that's just how it is. Like at the minute, as of yesterday, I'm trialing Clen to bring down my blood pressure.
Okay.
And there's rationale behind that because of my lungs. I'm very certain that the reason my blood pressure goes so high is because of my lungs, and just lack of blood flow. Like if you're a mouth breather, you have high blood pressure. So that's kind of correlated. What is Clen? Clen is a bronchial dilator. Whenever I'm dieting is when I feel best because obviously I'm lighter. My blood pressure is actually lower regardless of drugs, and I can breathe. I don't have to take my inhaler. So I was like, why don't I come in at 10 micrograms already day one, whether it's placebo or not, it's dropped down by 15. So we're gonna see what happens tomorrow.
And bro
And
should
that
be
was just
peeled.
like, yeah. So I was gonna say, Clen, I'm on only taking 10. I was like, what's the worst that can happen? It's either gonna slowly grow my heart anyway, which it can do, but at 10 compared to the 80 I was taking on prep, like I'm just gonna find out now and do it. And like that's just what I want to do. Like it's weird things like that where if someone said to me, I want to lower my blood pressure, yeah, take Clen. I'm not going to do that for anyone else, but it's that kind of stuff where it's just cool. I want
No,
to be a
like
guinea pig.
this works. Say it works out. Say in a year from now, you're in the position where like you just take Clen 10 every single day and you found that to work. Let's say 3 years from now, you might have a client who's like a carbon copy of you 2 days ago,
Mhm.
and you're like, okay, I kind of got an idea that might work.
Yeah,
Whereas like if that client came to me or Sam, the first thing in my head probably wouldn't have been put Clen in.
no,
You know what I
We
mean?
make it a
yeah, yeah,
fucking reel and make it viral as fuck because people will be
yeah.
like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Click this right now. Yeah,
Um, but no, I think that's a good place to leave it there. 'Cause I know you've got a call in like 15, haven't you?
I do. Yeah, sign
Cool.
ups galore, baby.
No,
We'll, we'll, we'll leave it there.
mine's a bit empty, so
No, I enjoyed that. It was quite like as much as I know you quite well now. I feel like it was a good like informative chat about just fucking everything really.
Yeah, I'm always an open book. Always an open book. I can tell anyone anything. To be fair, I've with everything I've done, whether it was starting anabolics or insecurities or binge, like the amount of conversations and I've outed myself about my binges and stuff. Like it was bad. Like I wanted to get to therapy and everything for it. Everything I've
That's
done.
one thing I will say. It's like you're like unapologetically yourself, but then you never shy away from just talking about whatever.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in just talking, whatever it is, just get it out, whether that's good, bad, whatever. I don't see the point in people hiding away from insecurities or health issues or whatever it is, because someone probably going through it as well. And that's the big thing. It's always the things where I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. I'll get the most messages from it, like, wow, I'm glad you spoke about this because no one does. It just
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
So, right. Do you want before we leave? Do you want to like plug anything?
I'm an online coach.
we can
That's about it,
bypass.
really. I'm a dying online coach. Yeah, if anyone fancies coaching, wants to call anything like that, enhanced by Harris, I'm on Instagram. I'm just on Instagram. I watch TikTok, but TikTok is like my place
Oh,
away from fitness.
I hate
As soon as something fitness related comes up, it's gone.
it. It's
Um,
horrible.
that's
It's
about it. I've got my own podcast. I'm only 2 episodes deep, and I've not done it for like 2 months, but that is called The Royal Ramble. And that's more of like a mental health mindset based thing, but I do want to kind of strip out and go elsewhere. That's about it, really. I like trains, I like cars, I like binging. I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
Great, great. And to be fair, I will ask you, please do more podcast episodes because the one you did before them was great.
Yeah, no, I will. I will. It's just I've had that stint of not doing it, so I'm like,
When
oh,
when you when you get into a rut of not doing it, you almost forget that you need to do it. Like
mhm.
we didn't film a podcast for 3 weeks. We were like, we need to. Sam. I was like, Sam, we need to do one. I was like,
Yeah,
Sam, come
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. I've literally got a
No,
list
that
of
was hard because No, what happened is we recorded an episode, it fucked up, and then we just lost motivation, and then we also just couldn't. We had meant to have Danny on it, and it just got so like we were just like, right, we're just not doing
For
it.
reference, we had been on calls all evening. We then went onto a Trinity call, and then we start recording this podcast. Right, it's like roast your physiques, and it's 10 p.m. We're both hanging. Well, I've been sat at this chair for like 6 hours.
My ass was literally wet. Like I shit you not. I got up. My seat's mesh, by the way. It's got a mesh seat, and I was still wet in the ass. Like it was a really bad time.
I felt like I was prepping again. My ass hurt that so much from sitting down.
I think I messaged you afterwards saying, "Bro, I'm fucked. Like I'm genuinely like mentally fucked right
Yeah,
now."
then I messaged you to be like, yeah, well, you're probably gonna have to do the same thing tomorrow.
And then 3 weeks later, we eventually did it.
But no, we'll leave it there. Once again, mate, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, bro.
In the description, I'll put like Instagram, etc. And to be fair, do you want me to link the podcast as well?
Yeah, go for it. Why not?
All right.
All
Thank you very
of our
much for watching.
50 subscribers, you know what I mean? Gonna be.
Literally,
Yeah,
yeah.
if he gets three, it's three more people.
I think it's more than I've got to be there.
Well, two of us. I fucking hope so. We got two of us plugging it.
Yeah, we'll love you and leave you. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Links will be in the description, and we'll catch you in a bit.